All right, Deb, we have an agenda before us. Any changes?
There are no changes to the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you very much. So we will start off with proclamations.
I move to approve the
Oh,
agenda as
thanks.
presented.
Mike's on. Thanks, Janine.
I'm just going to apologize now. It's been a long day. We have a first and a second.
Counselor Purser,
Yes,
Counselor Parrish, Counselor Miller,
sure.
Counselor Hansi, and Counselor Kumro. Motion passes 5-0.
Great, thanks. This is going to be a team effort tonight. All right. With that, we're going to move into proclamations and presentations. Is David here? No.
That's weird.
All right. Oh,
Do we hold it off until
Uh,
it's getting late?
no, we're still going to go ahead and we'll do it. And we'll just make sure I'll see him Saturday and make sure to get it to him. All right. So we have a proclamation proclaiming Friday, June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth to not be accepted by David Combs at this moment with Black citizens and friends of Grand Junction. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, declaring the slaves in the Confederate territory free, paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States of America, and whereas word about the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed some 2.5 years to June 19th, 1865, in reaching authorities and African Americans in the South and Southwestern United States, and whereas June 19th is the oldest known celebration commemorating the abolition of slavery and the emancipation of African American slaves in the United States, and continues to grow within communities throughout the country, including Mesa County, and whereas there are organizations in the Grand Valley, such as Black Citizens and Friends, promoting the cultivating knowledge and appreciation of African American history and culture, while encouraging equity and respect for all people and cultures, and whereas the City of Fruita is an inclusive community that encourages a diversity of cultural opportunities, and whereas Black Citizens and Friends is hosting a Juneteenth celebration on Saturday, June 20th, 2026 at Lincoln Park from 2 to 5 p.m. Therefore, we, the City of Council, declare Friday, June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth Day in the City of Fruita, Colorado, acknowledging its significance and encouraging our community to join the celebration of African American history. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed to the official seal of the City of Fruita, the 16th day of June 2026. So with that, I do want to say there is the event at Lincoln Park on Saturday. Like it says here, it's from 2 to 5. There will be bands, dancing, lots of special events. We will be reading this proclamation as a similar proclamation as a community in terms of the entire valley. Palisade will be there, Grand Junction will be there, will be there. So it is a community-wide event, and I would encourage anyone who's interested to please attend. It's a good event. All right. The next question is, I know we have an agenda. We're going to try to follow it as close as we can. Is anybody here from Dan Robinson's family? Okay, since Dan is not able to join us and his family is not here tonight, I'm going to ask that we continue that presentation until our next council meeting, which I think is July 7th, going from memory on this one. So if we can continue that at that meeting would be great.
Do we need a motion for that? No, we're good. Okay.
So with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to item C of our presentations, the financial statement and audit reports. And Krista, you are up a few minutes earlier than you were anticipating. It's a long walk from the back of the room.
If I can get my computer working. All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. I'm Christy Yamashita's Finance Director, and I've also got Kyle Seneker from McMahon and Associates here, who will be presenting the auditor's report first, and then I'll give a brief overview with some details regarding the city's net position and main funds.
Krista, could you lower the microphone a little bit closer? Thank you.
So I'm going to turn this over to Cal and let him do his portion first.
Hello, everybody. I hope that you can hear me all just fine. Anyway, my name is Cal Seneker, and I'm a CPA and one of the managers at McMahon and Associates. So our firm has been around for over 50 years, and we audit hundreds of municipalities, counties, and districts across the state. The majority of our clients are located in the High Country and the Western Slope. This is the third year that we have been the audit firm for the city of Fruita. This year, our audit of the city of Fruita had two distinct phases. The first phase, which we call our interim phase, took place in late January and involved a team of us coming on site to meet with various departments within the city to gain an understanding of various financial processes and controls. In addition to these meetings, we also performed various audit procedures and audit tests, such as performing data analytics on the city's entire P-card expenditures for the years, performing data analytics tests on payroll activity, as well as check disbursements written from the city's finance department. We also tested deposit activity from the community center and other departments, among other tests. The second phase of our audit, which we call the financial phase, took place over a 2-week period in the end of April. This is truly what you think of as the audit, where we are working with the finance department to run through the city's financial statements and accounting software and testing the various items included in that, such as cash accounts, receivables, prepaid items, capital assets, accounts payable, payroll activity and payroll liabilities, debt activity, so on and so forth. Once we completed this portion of our audit, we then worked to prepare the city's financial statements with assistance from Krista, which is what you see in front of you today. Ultimately, we issued 2 reports at the end of our audit. One is the financial statements with our clean audit opinion. We issued another unmodified audit opinion this year for the city, which we also call a clean opinion. This is the highest level of assurance that an independent CPA firm can provide, and states that our opinion is that we believe that the financial statements in front of you are materially accurate and recorded in accordance with applicable accounting standards. Ultimately, and Krista will go into further depth on this, but we believe that city remains in strong financial position, reports a positive net position. Both governmental and business type activities had an increase in net position in both during 2025, healthy liquid assets to cover both short-term and long-term obligations as they come due, and positive fund balances across the city's governmental funds. The second report we issue is our governing board letter to you, the city council. This you can think of as more of our report card, where if there were any issues, anything unusual, any concerns that we had during our audit, this would be our opportunity to present them to you. Ultimately, we had no issues, no concerns. Krista and her team are fantastic and wonderful to work with. As Krista can attest to, being audited is a lot of work. And the efforts that they have to do, we're requesting hundreds of different reports, documents, reconciliations, backup data. So it really is a big effort for her and her team. And I want to, give her credit and express how smoothly this audit went this year. In addition to that, we also had a couple small recommendations this year in our governing board letter that are really just coming from our desire to see the city of Fruita be the best that it can be. Our small recommendations this year, one was on encouraging one additional step around city council and key employee conflict of interest disclosures, which is just to take the one final cover your base step of formally filing those with the Secretary of State. We're happy to provide any more info on that as well. In addition, we also had another small recommendation that we spoke with Krista about the city exploring potentially going out and engaging in a formalized arbitrage study related to interest earnings on its outstanding debt issuances. Ultimately, an arbitrage liability just has to do with the fact that the city issues the debt that the city issues, the interest on that debt is tax exempt at a federal level. And because of that, there are additional requirements in terms of how much the city can earn on interest earnings. It's a very complicated, very nuanced thing. And down the road, we recommend that it might make sense for the city to go out and obtain a formal arbitrage study from a professional firm that specializes in this, solely because what happens is the city has to remit excess interest earnings back to the federal government. And we want that calculation to be as accurate as possible. And so the city is not over remitting by any chance. Lastly, we had one final FYI in our governing board letter, which is just a new accounting standard that's going to be implemented for the city for next year. It's a standard disclosure that we're sharing with all of our governments just because we want to keep them informed. Ultimately, this concludes our presentation. I'd like to reiterate how smoothly this audit went, and I want to once again express our gratitude for Krista and her team for all of their work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cal. So I want to give a brief overview of what makes up the financial statements for those of you who are new or who aren't aware of it. The financial statements are made up of several different components. First is the auditor's reports, and that's just the opinions from auditors. That's what Cal just talked about. Next is the management's discussion and analysis, also the MD&A. This is just a summary that gives some of the financial highlights. The basic financial statements are the numbers and tables for all of the financials. The notes to the financial statements are the narrative section that helps explain everything behind what's shown in those numbers. The required supplementary information gives the budget to actual statements for the major funds. The supplementary information gives the budget to actuals for all of the funds that we have in our budget book. And then last is the single audit, and that's only if it's applicable for the city, which in this case, this year, it was not. So another brief overview are just the different fund types that the city deals with. Governmental funds are reported using the modified accrual basis of accounting. This recognizes revenues when they become measurable and available, and expenditures when the related liability is incurred. This is where the bulk of our funds lie, and they're primarily funded with tax dollars. Examples of this are the general fund, community center, capital projects, the major ones that you'll see. Proprietary funds use the accrual basis, which recognizes revenues and expenses when they're earned or incurred. The general intent is to recover the cost through user fees and charges, and it's operated like a business. These are the sewer fund, the trash, the irrigation fund that we have. And last is the fiduciary fund accounts, the fiduciary funds, which account for resources that a government holds in a trustee or agency capacity for others and cannot be used to support the government's own programs. These funds ensure the government acts as a fiduciary, managing resources for specific terms and purposes. So these are the city's retirement funds, as well as the school land dedication fund that we hold for the school district. So government-wide financial statements focus on long-term and include capital assets and the long-term debt. So net position is the assets minus the liabilities and deferred inflows. The city's total net position increased $7.9 million or 5.8% from 2024. This chart kind of just shows a comparison between 24 and 25 for both the governmental activities and the business type activities. The city's total net position sits at $143.1 million. Of that, it's broken down into several different categories. 73% is net investment in capital assets, which are the non-spendable items like our streets, our sewer lines, buildings, parks. This increased $9.8 million from 2024. Next is 7% is restricted assets. These are the restrictions that are placed on our funds by outside agencies and laws. So it's the Tabor Emergency Reserve, it's the development impact fees that we collect, and like other special revenue funds like lottery, where it's designated to be spent with a specific purpose. This showed an increase of $1.4 million. And last is 20% is unrestricted, which is the amount available for the city to go out and spend. This showed a decrease of $3.3 million from last year, but a large contributing factor to this is we started the construction of several large capital projects, including 19 Road and South Mesa, and we used funds on those projects. So this shows the revenues, expenses, and how we get to that change in net position. The total revenues were 30.9 million. The expenses were 23 million, and that resulted in a change in net position of 7.8 million. There was an increase of 5.7 million in governmental activities and 2.1 million in the business type activities. So the government fund statements focus on the short-term activity instead of long-term, so it doesn't include capital assets and the long-term debt. So now I'm just going to go over a couple of the major funds and give you just a brief overview of where we stand there and how we compared to last year. So on the general fund, the revenue's final budget was 13.1 million, and the actual brought in was 14.6 million. On the expenses, the final budget was 14.1 million. The actual spent was 13.1 million. Other financing sources consists of primarily transfers to the capital project fund. This was budgeted at 8 million, and we ended up actually transferring 6 million. So the total variance between everything is a positive 4.6 million. On the revenue side, this shows some of the largest variances that we saw between the budget and the actuals. The revenue total of 14.6 million exceeded the budget by 1.6 million. The largest dollar variance was use tax, which showed a variance of 448,000, and that's largely due to the hailstorm that we saw in June that caused just a huge uproar in roof replacements that we didn't anticipate when we were budgeting. On the expense side, this gives a brief look at the different departments and how their actuals compared to the final budgets. Non-departmental had the largest variance by percentage due to the contingency account for emergencies and unexpected purchases being located in this department. The total expenses of 13.1 million were under budget by 1 million. Other financing sources include transfers in and out, insurance awards, and sales of assets. The largest variance was transfers out, which is primarily to capital projects. A large portion of the variance shown here are funds that were reappropriated and rolled over to the current 2026 budget at the beginning of this year. So the fund balance is similar to what we looked at with the net position, but only looking at the current assets. The general fund balance is 16 million, and of this amount, 1.6 million is restricted for the things like Tabor emergency and the public safety from the county tax. 6.7 million is assigned for specific purposes by management and staff, including 2026 expenses and the vehicle equipment replacements. The remaining 7.7 million are unassigned and include the operating reserve of 2.9 million, which is equivalent to the 25% of the 2026 operating expenses, and that leaves the remaining 4.8 million that can be used for any purposes. The general fund balance decreased by 4.5 million from 2024 due to decreased property taxes stemming from last year's state backfill payments, decrease in capital grants, as well as increased expenditure growth from increased operations and just the general inflationary activity that we see. So that covers the general fund, and onto the community center.
Can you just repeat that slide one? That was a lot for me, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, so the general fund balance is 16 million. Of this amount, 1.6 million is restricted for things like the Tabor emergency and for the public safety expenses that have to be used towards public safety from the county tax. 6.7 million is assigned for specific purposes by management and staff, and that includes the 2026 expenses and the vehicle and equipment replacements. 7.7 million is unassigned and includes the operating reserve of 2.9 million, which is 25% of the 2026 operating expenses. And so that 4.8 million that remains is can just be used for any purposes.
Just such large numbers, it just took me a second.
So on the community center, their revenues, the final budget was 3.9 million, but the actual that was brought in was 4.4 million. On the expenses, the final budget was 3.9 million, and the actual spent was 3.5 million. So that gave us a total variance of a positive 792,000. The largest percentage variance for the community center was other revenues, which exceeded the budget by 58,000. Included in other revenues are interest on the leases, donations, and any other miscellaneous revenue that the community center collects that doesn't fit into any of the other categories. The rents was under budget by almost $4,000, and that's largely due to an amendment to the community center rooftop lease that we initiated in mid-2025 that reduced the amount of the lease. On the expense side, the largest variance was recreation, which was 293,000 under. In this category, it includes personnel services, purchase services, supplies, as well as the contingency line for emergencies and unexpected purchases. The community center fund balance sits at 4.7 million. Of this amount, 1.6 million is restricted for funds that have to be spent on the community center. 1.4 million is assigned for 2026 expenses, and 1.6 million is committed, which includes 1 million towards facility improvements and the operation reserve of 645,914, which is 25% of the current operating expenses. And last is the sewer fund. So in the sewer fund, expenses were budgeted to exceed revenues by 1.5 million. Actual revenues exceeded expenses by 632,633 for a positive variance of 2.1 million. Investment income exceeded budgeted revenues by 85,000 due to the continuation of the high interest rates that we saw start up in 23 and continued into 2024. Intergovernmental revenues were under budget by 262,000 due to projects that included grant funds that were not submitted for reimbursement until 2026, and also due to the change in scope of work for one of the projects that resulted in a considerable less amount being spent on the project. Expenses of 5 million were under budget by 2 million. And the large variance was for capital expenses, which were under budget by 1.2 million due to the Greenway Drive project, which ended up at a significantly lower cost due to the change of scope. And that goes back to, on the revenue side, a lot of the revenues we had budgeted were from grants. And since the scope of work on the Greenway Drive, the expenses were less, the revenues were less as well. The sewer fund is a proprietary fund, so it does not have a fund balance like the governmental funds. The net position of the sewer fund is 39.8 million. Of that, 29.8 million is invested in the fixed assets, which includes wastewater treatment plant and the sewer lines. 1 million is restricted for the loan. 1.2 million is designated for equipment replacements. 1.9 million is designated for capacity improvements at the plant, and 5.9 million is unrestricted. This just shows a comparison of the net position for the sewer fund between 2024 and 2025. The overall net position increased 2.1 million from 24, and of that, 151,000 is unrestricted. So just a brief recap, as Cal had stated, the city is sitting in a strong financial position still. The total net position of the city increased 7.9 million from last year, with 28 million of that being unrestricted and for the city to use how they want. And the general fund balance sits at 16 million, with 7.7 million of that being unassigned. With that, the staff recommendation is for you to approve the City of Fruita 2025 financial statements and accept the auditor's report.
Great. Thank you. Don't run away in case there's questions. All right, with that, I'd like to bring it back to well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you. I know the audit was a heavy lift on you and your entire team. And in terms of the auditor's report, that it's not surprising that that's what we saw. So thank you. That bring it back to council for any questions or clarifications on the auditor's report.
I have a few. To everybody's surprise.
Please, Aaron.
How do we compare when it comes to our net position and our fund balances? These questions are for Cale, the auditor. How do we compare to other communities in Colorado or similar sized communities?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. I had to switch over to my phone. I was having some issues with my computer. Ultimately, where the city stands with regards to the communities we audit is very similar and very comparable. It's always hard to compare apples to apples across different communities because, you know, certain communities are so much more reliant on sales tax or things that are a bit more kind of fluctuating, and certain other of our clients are more reliant on kind of stable standard revenue streams. So it's always hard to compare time and time again. What we kind of look at as a reasonable amount is what is your unrestricted general fund balance, you know, and what we also include in that is the 25% operating reserve. And really what we look for with that is there adequate fund balance there to cover any potential risks or any potential shortfalls? And with that regard, you know, the city stands very strong, especially in relation to the other clients that we audit. It's also not unusual to have a significant portion of your total net position invested in your capital assets, like what Krista had shared about. These are oftentimes your roads, your streets, your infrastructure, your parks, and everything in between. So to see that is very standard. You know, we usually see upwards of 70% of a governmental net position is in capital assets, which holds true for the city as well. Ultimately, there's nothing unusual or concerning, and the city lives on kind of the healthier side of what we see across our clients.
We can't hear you, just so you know, you're a little hard to understand.
Oh, gotcha. Is this better at all?
Oh, that's much better.
Much better.
Oh, got it. Well, long story short, to save you the whole spiel, again, from both a net position allocation among net invested in capital assets, the city is very comparable to our other audit clients. And from a current financial resource, general fund, unassigned fund balance, general fund operating reserve with adequate liquidity, you know, by all of those calculations, the city sits very standard and on the stronger side of what we see for our clients. It's always difficult to compare client by client, but that's kind of a high level.
Yeah. Two more questions. The next one, and again, if there's any of these or these next two questions, if you want to reply later on, if just not on the spot or you want to gather information, that's fine with me. But it'd just be good to get your advice or consultation with it. besides, of course, the obvious funds that we have debt with, besides those ones, it seems like we are heavily under leveraged when it comes to debt. We just don't have debt, which in one hand is good, and I can see how having some debt is healthier. Can you kind of talk about how we compare to other communities, or how we could utilize debt effectively in our communities?
Can I ask a clarifying question on your question?
Yes, go for it.
So if you look at the overall budget, 8% of the overall budget goes towards debt, but that goes to the rec center and to the sewer fund.
Yeah.
So to clarify what you're talking about in terms of debt that comes out of the general fund,
Yeah.
we have no debt.
Correct.
So at that point, is the question like, what is for a community our size,
What's healthy?
what's a healthy, what's that kind of healthy out of the general fund? What's that percentage that you want to stay under to kind of keep it healthy? Is that?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Getting some clarity with that, but.
Yeah, so with regards to that, and I'm happy to elaborate on this at a later time as well. Once again, in terms of the clients that we audit and work with, it really runs the gambit. We work with water and sanitation districts that are issuing revenue bonds every year to fund capital activity. And on the other side of the spectrum, Garfield County is one of our audit clients, and they don't have any outstanding debt whatsoever, apart from a couple outstanding leases that are, a minuscule percentage of their total balance sheet. In terms of what I think an appropriate use of debt is, I think is really up, that, in my opinion, lies more on city council management, depending on what your goals are for development and activity in the town. We are always concerned with our clients being over-levered and struggling to meet their debt payments as they come due. Obviously, you guys have quite a bit of room with regards to that in terms before that becomes a concern or area of significant emphasis on our point. So what I would say is really from regards to debt issuance, it really comes back to what are your goals for your community, and if issuing debt to fund housing activity or other capital projects or community center activity as you have done in the past is all seems appropriate to us, and you're certainly nowhere near being over levered with regards to your outstanding debt.
Thank you. Yeah, and if you have any follow-up with that you'd like to send to us, that'd be great. My last question, it goes along with kind of like your when you're talking about the auditor's report. How you made one suggestion.
Somebody have a mic on?
We'll see if we're good now. Oh, we're good now. No, we're not.
What is happening?
We will find the source of that. I think somebody may have joined and their mic is not muted. Oh, is it Calvin? It's Steve. Steve.
Thanks, Steve. We'll make sure we use you later on in the agenda. This question goes in along lines with what you were talking about with the auditor suggestions that you talked about before of we're doing so well, what's suggestions to take it to the next level? And that's where I'm focusing on because I really appreciate with what we do with the city. What are you aware of what we see on a monthly basis on our financials that we get reported from staff?
Off the top of my head, I cannot speak to that. No.
Okay. My question is just, what do you see other municipalities disclosing on a regular basis that we might be able to enhance or support our monthly financial reporting to council and to the community?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that just from a high level hypothetical thing. Across many of our audit clients, we really are very supportive and very appreciative of an involved governing board, whether that's city council, whether that's board of county commissioners, depending on the various client. We always think that a strong and involved governing board that's involved in day-to-day decision making, the way that you all appear to be is really helpful for a government. This is especially true on our smaller governments, which isn't necessarily applicable to the city of Fruita. In terms of kind of reporting package and what we always like to see looking at and reviewing is number one is money that goes out, right? Some sort of expense activity report, check register, or something of the sort of that. I believe that gets included with your monthly reporting package. But once again, I don't want to put words in my mouth and incorrectly state anything. Really, I think that by and large is the most important thing. You know, I view governments mostly as fiduciaries of public funds. And so to have that kind of transparency and additional level of review over money coming out and the spending of, you know, what is predominantly public money is to me an area of high importance. And then, you know, I believe standard review of things like income statements, activity, you know, comparison to budget. Obviously, so much of what a government does is driven by its annual budget. That kind of focusing on and reviewing that on a semi-regular basis, you know, monthly basis, I think is helpful as well.
Thank you for all your work, and thank you for Fruita staff with going through this audit. It's great to have that we have another wonderful tax or audit year. So thank you.
Thank you as well. We appreciate the time.
So you're gonna run.
I'm
Okay.
done with my questions.
I'm brain dead.
Good. I think I always love hearing the positive reports about what we're doing and about Krista's team. So that's a lot to be proud of. We have the right people in the right places.
I do have one quick question, just in regards to the Parks and Rec. You talked about certain monies like donations. Can you speak to donations and what that looks like, and can people donate for anything?
I think I'd have to look into it more, but off the top of my head, the main thing that goes into the donation account is the thrift store makes a monthly donation to the senior, for the senior program every month. And so I think it's like $50 a month. And so we don't budget that because we don't anticipate and we don't expect them to give it to us every year. But it's a couple $100s that, that we get and we put in towards the senior account.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
No additional questions.
I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate this is, you know, the accuracy of our financial statements. And I know we've got other financials later on, which we can ask more specific ones. So once again, it's great from a city perspective that what we're presenting is highly accurate. So thanks.
It also shows that we have good controls and good processes internally that the community can trust how the money's collected and especially how it's being spent.
Yeah. I mean, if we're starting to talk about having to do forward looking in terms of arbitrage, and that makes the top three, that's a pretty good sign.
Yep. Look that word up.
I echo that sentiment as well.
Yeah, I will have more questions next time because I am taking a finance class at Municipal League next week.
So if there are no more questions, we would need a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve the City of Fruita 2025 financial statements and accept the auditor's report.
A first and a second. Any other questions, concerns, or comments? Seeing none. Deb?
Counselor Parrish?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Hansi?
Yes.
Counselor Kumro?
Yes.
Counselor Purser?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Great. Thank you very much. We're very fortunate. Dan has joined us. Judge Dan Robinson, just as a heads up to everybody in the room, this is going to be somewhat emotional because of our love and admiration for Dan. And therefore, I'm going to kick it off to Amy.
Yeah, we have the pleasure and honor of recognizing and honoring our beloved judge. And in this council's fashion, they asked me to write one of my little poems for you, Judge. So we're going to take turns reading stanzas of this so that I don't just sit here and cry, which is great. I would love for you to come up here before we start this. That would be so great. I'm going to have you
You get to do the first and then we'll pass it around.
We are not worried about that. We're thrilled to have you here.
An honor to meet you today, too. A tribute to Judge Daniel A. Robinson. In Fruita's courts where justice stood, Judge Robinson served for the greater good. With wisdom, fairness, calm, and care, he brought a steady presence there.
He looked beyond a single mistake and saw the better path one could take. With thoughtful grace and patient heart, he helped many find a stronger start.
Compassion guided all he did, and hope was never something he hid. He understood that people grow and offered chances that helped them show.
A rehabilitative spirit he shared, reflecting how deeply he truly cared. He believed redemption could be found and help lift lives from troubled ground.
His love for Fruita shone each day in every action, word, and way. He cherished the community he served and earned the trust he so deserved.
The people of Fruita felt his care, knowing he was always fair. He listened well and treated each with dignity that few could teach.
His influence reached beyond the court, becoming a source of lasting support. The values he modeled helped inspire a stronger community to aim higher.
Though his service has now become part of the past, its positive impact will forever last. Judge Robinson's legacy will remain in view, a beautiful gift to Fruita, steadfast, kind, and true. So, thank you for everything that you've done for this community, for keeping the ethos of this community alive and well at its core when people are having some people may be having their worst day of their lives. You represented Fruita and for what the best of what Fruita has to offer. So with that, thank you. The mic is yours if you would like.
Thank you all so very much. That's a very moving poem, and I hope to have a copy so I can share it with my grandkids and my kids. If I were sitting in your chair, I would wonder, how do we measure the importance in our court? How's it doing? Is it a good court? Does it have problems? And I'm going to offer you a few ideas. There are 250 municipal courts in the state of Colorado. Fruita is at the very top of courts because of the criteria that's used, one of which is how quickly after an officer issues a ticket does an arraignment takes place. We are rapidly fast. We track that data almost immediately. We have that person in court. Number two is sentencing and whether the defendant complies with the sentence of the court. We have a 90% compliance the last time I looked at that data. Thirdly is our fines paid, our victims receiving the restitution that we order. Once again, we lead almost every municipal court. 50% is considered good. The last time we looked at that, we were close to 95% of collecting compensation for victims. But probably more importantly is the philosophy that Fruita Court has developed. And in the justice system, two things are true. Number one, courts can issue orders, but it's the compliance with those orders that becomes problematic. In our case, there's enough bonding to our court or enough respect for the court. And believe me, it extends from you, not from the judge. I have to admit that the judge is there primarily to make sure the proceeding is fair for the defendant as well as for the people. But in our case, in Fruita, one of the measures that we look at is that the criminal justice system is built on a punitive model, that if you don't do this, we will do this to you. If you don't do that, then we will escalate and use a new level of punishment. In our court, the philosophy has been pretty much that we want you to be accountable, number one, and that's different than we want to punish you. And secondly, as I explained to many young offenders over and over again, that all of you were elected presumably because you represent the values of this community. And a community is often compared to a fabric, a beautiful fabric woven among the people and the elected officials of a community. And when that fabric is torn because somebody violates the delicacy of the peace and dignity of our community, then there should be some repair by that same person to the fabric of our community. And that's called community service. And the bonding that takes place as a result of a sentence that we ask them to give something back because they disturb the delicate and the beautiful balance in Fruita. And I have to say that that philosophy doesn't mean you can't be tough, doesn't mean you can't be accountable and make sure that defendants get the strong message. We don't want to see you back here. But at the same time, it's better rather than history has taught us to alienate people. They no longer contribute anything to anybody. If they stay bonded and connected to our community by saying, hey, I cleaned up that graffiti and see somebody else doing graffiti or trashing a public restroom or whatever the case may be, stealing something. So that philosophy, I credit you, the mayor, I credit the council. This is one of the best councils that I've had the privilege of working with. And I understand you're not overpaid, you're not overworked, but you're really a good team, and it's felt, I think, all over our community. I can't thank you enough for the privilege of serving, Fruita.
Thank you. Amy's got this. We don't have a key to the city. We don't have those. We have a rock with a gear is our equivalent to, yeah, it's very us. So besides the beautiful poem that Amy wrote, we'd also like to present you with the Fruita rock with the effing gear on it as a special token of our just deep, deep appreciation
Thank
for
you.
everything that you've given.
That is very kind of you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for that. Next, we have public participation and our consent agenda. This portion of our meeting is set aside for City Council to listen to comments from the public about items not on tonight's agenda or items that appear on the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are those for which all conditions or requirements have already been met, and they are typically approved with a single motion without separate discussion. We welcome and value your input. To help maintain a welcoming, respectful, and productive environment, we ask that there be no clapping, cheering, booing, jeering, or sign holding. This helps ensure that everyone, regardless of their viewpoint, feels comfortable sharing their thoughts. Each speaker will have 3 minutes, and we ask that you begin by stating your name and whether or not you're a resident of the city of Fruita for the record. If you have materials you'd like to share with council, please hand them to our city clerk, Deb Woods, so that they can be entered in the public record and then distributed appropriately. So with that, while council will not respond during this portion of the meeting, please know that we are indeed listening, and we greatly appreciate you taking the time to participate in this very important process. So with that, I'd like to open up the floor for public comment on anything and consent or on the agenda.
I'm not used to having a. I know, me.
I'm Tessa Bynum. I live here. My first concern tonight is that on the June 2nd minutes for the special meeting, it states that council would be meeting at 5:30, but because the meeting ended at 5:51, the Open Meeting Act states that meetings have to be posted 24 hours in advance. I mentioned this to Janine and Matthew, but it is not noted in the minutes. If Shannon's arrival and announcement after the meeting ended can be noted, the correction can be too. Second, I am requesting that Jared's appointment be removed from consent agenda because it's not a routine item and it is required to be, that it's not a routine item as is required to be a part of the consent agenda. Matthew, Janine, Rich, Amy, and Aaron, I have gotten to know you all very well over the last 2 years. Todd, I haven't gotten to know you as well, but it's going to be great. In the meetings that I've been here for the last 2 years, I have been one in a sea of packed audiences, and I have also been one of the only people sitting in this room. Every time there's a pause for public comment and one of you looks at me for when I stand up, I'm reminded that you're all real humans that understand that I care and you also care. We all know that I'm passionate and that I care about this place that all of us call home. We all don't see eye to eye, but I've believed in every single one of you. And then yesterday at 3:37, while on the city website, I found that Jared was already listed as a council member on the staff directory. His picture and his bio were already up, and he was listed as a council member already. I'm always here, but if I didn't know you and I had a comment on the vacancy that's currently in place, I saw that, I would never attend a council meeting, and I would not trust a single one of you. And I would not trust the transparency that is vital to the city of Fruita. I thought the city was allowed, or I thought the Fruita public was allowed to comment on the appointment, and I thought that our voices mattered. Seeing that there means that it doesn't. There have been multiple attempts during this process that I felt like the public's ability to participate was taken away. And that hurts almost as much as the last time I was at this podium trying not to cry. And I think everybody in this room could do better.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come up and speak on?
I'm trying very hard to move here and I'm currently staying at 302 Applewood. Does that give me the right to speak?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Get this.
Okay.
If you could also state your name, just.
Oh, I'm Andy Tillman.
Working on the timer.
That's just fine. I hope that's the hardest thing that happens to anyone here.
Good to go.
I just wanted to say that I'm potentially new to this town, though I'm not new to the Grand Valley. And I currently reside, like I said, at 302 Applewood, trying to figure out where I can live. It's the 4th or 5th time I've tried to live in Fruita. You all know you're popular. If my even temporary presence here allows me any right to speak about my prospective community, I would say that one of the reasons I'm considering planting my life here, and have attempted to before in the past, is that this is a community who I've witnessed since my arrival in the Grand Valley in 2002 to consistently welcome all people, treat humans as humans with friendliness and dignity. And while there are clearly diverse values and ideas, as in any community, I've witnessed a respect for other views, an allowance for people to live their private lives and love without hindrance and when no harm is being done. So thank you for that. I've always felt safe and indeed welcomed in Fruita, and even now, in the current environment, which I can tell you is not my nor thousands of other local members of the LGBT community's experience and the communities around us. And this environment, in an environment that is deeply and unjustly impacting and even taking innocent lives right now. I utilize and spend my healthcare dollars at Family Health West because they demonstrably share the same values of dignity. And I witnessed once again with the Juneteenth Proclamation a further indication of the unbiased dedication of this community to that value of respect for the dignity of the human spirit and a sense of decency. Just wanted to thank you for that. And I'm here tonight to appreciate and thank the council to looking to the skills and integrity and not bending to the personal bias or private beliefs in selecting Jared as a council member after due process. I've known and worked with Jared for years now, and I've close associates have known him for decades, and I've never had a single negative word to say about his character, integrity, work ethic, generosity in every way. I recently had the deeper pleasure of working with Jared more closely in the intensely trust-requiring role as the president of my nonprofit board, and most recently witnessed him dealing with complete unflagging integrity with very difficult situations with no warning or time to prepare. So I know the decision processes that I witnessed in the moment could only be a true reflection of his innate core character. He didn't have time to plan. He comes from the hip with integrity. Even when he makes a mistake, he takes accountability and self-corrects. So I just wanted to tell you all that I'm proud and inspired by the council and this community having the reflected integrity to appoint the first openly gay man to your council, especially in these times of demonization, misinformation, and violations of the basic human rights of LGBT people, and violation of the core values of freedom, dignity, and human equality that this country is founded on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. I did want to talk briefly and see if anybody else on council wanted to talk about item H, which is the appointment. And just kind of as a recap, it was after the election. James was reappointed to council. He shortly thereafter, he ended up closing on a house and had to resign. Once we found that out, once we officially got that notice, it starts a clock of 60 days, of which we have to fill the seat. Otherwise, it goes to a special election. And I don't have the exact dates. It was posted. We received a total of 9 applications at that time. Just as a reference, 2 people after submitting their applications withdrew their applications. After that, we did have a publicly held meeting, which people did attend. And the first meeting was looking through all the applications and seeing who we wanted, if we wanted to interview everybody or select group. Council came away with that, saying that in terms of the applicants, there was 4 that they would like to interview. We then held those interviews in a public meeting. And once again, we had people sit through the entire interview process. At the end of that meeting, there was discussion, and it is up to the mayor to say, here's who I recommend for that position. I could recommend my mother. I wouldn't advise it. But I could recommend my mother, and then council at that point hopefully would shoot that one down. But it's a recommendation, and then the actual decisions get made at this meeting. There was a comment about it being posted. That was an error. Once it was pointed out, we did immediately take it down. it's one of the, sometimes there's a process of here's things that we anticipate need to go up on the website or get posted on social media. And it's just, we got a little over our skis on that. Once, like I said, once that was pointed out, we did immediately take that down. So that's kind of the overview of the process. I would like to say thanks to everybody that participated in that process. To put yourself out there is not easy. To say, I want to step up and serve the community, knowing that we had 9 applicants and there can be only one, you know what those odds are. And it's a lot of guts and a lot of bravery. And I would just like to say thank you to everybody that participated. If anybody else would like to say anything else.
It was a tough decision. We were very fortunate to have a lot of really great applicants. I think that speaks highly of our city. So, yeah.
It was nice that we could look at the qualifications and of every member or every applicant and choose who we thought would be the best fit. We had all our individual votes and
no, we didn't vote. We discussed
input.
Input.
Appropriate terminology, yes. But appreciate the process that we had.
And I do want also anything else on the consent agenda before.
As far as the minutes, I do need to recuse myself from part A of the first half of minutes of A.
Yeah, I don't think you can, I think you just have to do it on all. You can't do partial.
Yeah, so all of A.
Yeah.
Then all of A. I was not a council member for half of that. Yeah, however that works.
Noted, and thank you.
Learning.
I do want to ask about E on the minutes from our June 2nd workshop. It's because we had in that workshop thought we were going to meet earlier and then did change that. So it does make sense for the minutes to reflect that.
Sure. Yeah, and it was publicly noticed for 6 p.m. And there are times where if we are having dinner before a meeting, like you do eat earlier than the publicly noticed time, but as long as the meeting starts at that time too, it's always important.
And we were very careful to make sure that nothing city related was discussed at that point in time.
Yeah. We did discuss in that workshop that we would start it at 5:30 and then revert it back to the 6 o'clock. So.
And I did, and just so everybody knows, I did email Shannon about that earlier today, and we discussed that whole thing, and he said exactly what he just told me. So we had a whole discussion about that because I was like, hey, wait a minute. I have lots of questions all the time. His phone, I have him on speed dial.
And I do want to say in regards to the appointment, this is the 3rd appointment that I have been a part of since being on the city council. And each time it's not been something that has been that we were expecting. Each time that someone had to step down was completely understandable. But it is always we take that, I take that, and I think we all take that with great responsibility. And it felt even more difficult this time around just because of the proximity, for me personally, for the proximity of the election. And so we just kept working through the process that we have established, the precedent that has been established, and that's how this has gone. And this is how the outcome becomes official. And I believe in the past that it's been on consent agenda each time, and that's why it is on consent agenda again. And I also just want to say it was everybody who applied was very deserving, and coming to what the mayor has recommended. We'll see how this all plays out here shortly, but I think we will be in good hands.
Agreed.
So we have the consent agenda before us. You need to abstain from section A. There's the amendment to the minutes. But with that, would need a motion.
I move to adopt the consent agenda with the added amendments.
Second.
First and second. Any other questions, concerns, or comments?
No,
All right. Seeing none, Deb, you know what you got to do.
Hold on.
Oh,
I did have one last thing, and I did clear this with Shannon, but I just have to say it out loud. The one thing that I missed during the interview with Jared was where he worked with doing CAD and the possible conflict of interest, and because it was brought to me by a couple of people in the community, and I say it out loud so that they hear it. And the discussion I had with Shannon was oil and gas that Jared works with, and the city does not do any contractual stuff with oil and gas and the CAD work that he does. So I just wanted to make sure that that was very clear, and that I did take that to him, and that we did have that bids, that company has never bid. There's never been a bid process from that company in the history of Fruita. So that there's no history to look at to see that there might be a potential conflict, and if there is, they'll have to recuse themselves. But it's an oil gas and that's what he does. So I just wanted to make sure that was brought out. I don't know. I was just sitting here like, oh, I got to say something. So
Yeah. And if I could add just very briefly, mostly because it plays well into what the auditor shared as well for one of the recommendations. So anytime there is a potential conflict of interest, council does disclose that to the city attorney. And if there's ever very specific, like a contract is being awarded to one of our council members, it actually goes, even if it's budgeted and approved for funds, it goes to what's called a notice of public disclosure, where council will actually act on an individual item, despite that's not what they normally do, but will act on an individual item, and that city council member or mayor will recuse themselves from that item. A good example is, so we do a 3-year contract for our entertainment for Mike the Headless Chicken and Thursday night concerts. We put that out to request for proposals. It's been over 3 years now, but we only had one respondent, and that was Rima Music, which was our former city councilor, James Williams. So just when he was potentially awarded that actually had to go through council approval, despite being budgeted, despite being included in that. And he recused himself. People have the opportunity to provide public comment, just like we did tonight, on that recusal or on that contract. And then at that point, council can decide whether to formally approve or deny that specific item. So it has come up. It also came up merged to media. They were the lowest cost for some of our merchandise at the rec center a couple years ago. So just things that come up. We have always done the public disclosure, and within the past 4 years on the consent agenda, the auditor's recommendation tonight was to also disclose any conflicts of interest like that to the Secretary of State. So we will add that onto the list as well.
thank you. Todd, this is the second time I missed you tonight, so sorry.
I'm good.
All right. Anything else? All right. We have a first. We have a second.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Kumru,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. And then congratulations, which takes us into our first action item. And Deb is going to do the official swearing in. So Jared, come on up. And we'll make sure there's times for pictures. No, sir.
United States. The Constitution of the State of Colorado.
Laws of the state of Colorado.
Laws of the State of Colorado.
Faithfully perform the duties
Faithfully perform the duties
of the office of city councilor
the office of city council.
The best of my ability.
Best of my ability.
I'm sorry, I forgot a part. Upon which I am about to enter.
On which I'm about
To the best of my ability.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
I think technically we're supposed to now open this up to public comment because it's an action item. And this is a little bit of an unusual because it falls under action item. This should be open for public comment. I'm looking at Shannon just to confirm because to make sure we follow our process. So with that, I'd like to open this up to public comment.
I'm Tessa Bynum. I live here. Congratulations, Jared.
Thank you.
I don't know you personally. You know some of my favorite people in the entire world and one of my career idols. So I'm sure you are an amazing person, and I am very glad that you get to be on council. So nothing that I say right now is personal. I swear to the spaghetti monster, I promise. Let's see. Not being here for the application process and the interviews. I was on vacation. I was in Yellowstone. It says that Jared is a project manager in 8 different states. So was the idea of traveling and everything like that addressed in his interview? Also, Jared is Facebook friends with all of you except for Todd and Rich. He's also Facebook friends with Mike Bennett, Ciara, Joel Kincaid. And yet I think only Todd and Janine are friends with any of the other candidates. So on Facebook. And while I know that it is a merit-based appointment, that kind of gives a little bit of favoritism perspective. I'm just saying. Jared's application also says that he wants to serve on council to show the queer community that they can hold positions of leadership, and not wanting to, with no mention of wanting to make a difference, change, or improve or serve. And that is a little concerning to me. There's also some discrepancies in what was posted online in his bio versus what was on his application. So with with interviews not being live streamed and not being able to see any of the other applications or the opinions or notes from the council about interviews, I don't have anything to compare my opinions to or my thoughts to, but I am curious how these oversights and the perceived favoritism can be ignored, because transparency, again, is important, and so is honesty, trustworthiness, and following procedures. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comment?
Hello, council. My name is Rochelle Cry. I'm a community member, and wasn't waiting for the clock.
That's all. It's going here.
Sorry, I get a little nervous talking in front of people, so I apologize if I stumble over my words. I just want to say that I know Jared personally as a neighbor. He's my next door neighbor, and know him to be a wonderful person of character and integrity. And I admire him very, very much for all of his work he's done in the foster care community and adopting children that have been in need and that have thrived under his care and Matthew's care. And I just want to say that publicly. I think that it's a great honor for Fruita to have him serve on city council. And I think he'll do a wonderful job. Kind of echoing what the judge said up here as far as the fabric of our community. He is a beautiful part of our community. And I'm very grateful to know him as a person. He makes me a better person. So thank you for your consideration of him. And there's not much else to say, even though I have 2 more minutes. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments at this time?
I just moved here. As y'all can hear, I'm not from here. I'm from Texas. But I lived here really, really long time ago, and I think that I kind of trump everybody here. I have known Jared, and we have been the bestest of friends since 7th grade. So I don't want to age myself. I have a big one coming up, but it's been over 20 years that I have known this man. And so I have seen him from childhood. We have been in close contact, still best friends, even when I moved away. I don't know that I've ever known anybody with a pure heart. My sister, her children went through the foster care process, and Jared was instrumental in putting my family's mind at ease, in ensuring us that the children were in the best of hands with who they were caring, who they were cared for, and who they were being put in the hands of. I have seen him through the death of his mother. I have seen him through relationships. I have seen him through children. Him and I are very well bonded, and I know him very intimately. So I understand those that may not know him, but I can tell you from someone who knows him very, very, very well that you made a wonderful decision. He is such a kind and thoughtful person. He genuinely cares about other people before himself. He is someone that you can rely on. He is someone that that will always show up for you in a non-judgmental way. My partner and I, as you know, we just moved here from Texas. And so I also want to applaud y'all for having some diversity for your Juneteenth announcement. I thought was really wonderful as one member of the Black community being here. Yeah. So, and I can speak for her in just the minute I have left. Diversity is a little lacking here. It's difficult. We're from a really big place with a lot of different kind of people, which makes the community so wonderful. It's kind of, you lose a lot of that with similar mindsets, with people who think and act the same. So there's really not a lot of elevation that we can have sometimes. So I want to applaud y'all for going outside of the norm, going outside of what most community members would seem acceptable and appropriate to really try to push the envelope forward and invite more diversity and more inclusion here. So I just want to offer my 2 cents from my bestest friend and also congratulate you. Thank you for your time.
I did not catch your name.
Kinship, and I'm brand new here. Welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else care to speak at this time on this particular item on the agenda? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public participation. And because of the nature of the swearing in, we're just going to move into ordinance item B. Ordinance 2026-07, a second reading of an ordinance amending Title 8 of the Fruita.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
We bring this back to council. I know
sorry.
it's weird, but
Yes.
I just have a couple comments. I think we had a wonderful process, and as Janine stated, that this is the third time we've had the exact same process, and it's been very effective. I can definitely.
No.
Sorry.
Side conversations.
No.
I know the website thing was a mistake, and staff's dealing with that matter. But nowhere in the process is, just to speak a little bit more about the process that we haven't talked about yet, is that the community submitted applications. We had 9 applications that came through. We are restricted to pick from those applications. We can't pick your mom. Right? That's our process. We have to accept applications. And
Brett Singh.
I know you love your mother. And when it came down to it, I think I can speak for us as a group that we earnestly and honestly talked about or discussed each candidate. We picked the best candidate we thought based off of merit, nothing else. That because we take this serious, that we're not picking friends. I think, Jared, you're a friend, but I didn't pick you because we're friends. Just because we may or may not have a relationship on Facebook, for example, does not dictate how I know how I discuss things. Just because someone's a friend on Facebook does not dictate anything, because I know I have friends on Facebook that are not friends. But I just want to make it clear and transparent. I appreciate, Tess, that you making all those statements. It's fantastic. I appreciate you saying them. But I think we had a very wonderful and open and transparent process. Typically the processes, a lot of it is they're called workshops. So that our process is not to have it zoomed out as we do with other meetings. We had community members step into those meetings, which typically do not, due to the nature of them being public interviews, which is odd, but we have to. But we had community members in there. And so I think we have a wonderful process. And as a group, we selected Jared, and it's great to have him on board. And I think he'll be an asset to our group. And welcome aboard. Thank you.
With that, I would like to kick him off with the ordinance.
Kick him off.
That came out completely
Already
wrong.
kicked off.
Yeah, it did.
All right. I would like to move on to item B, ordinance 2026-07, a second reading of an ordinance amending Title 8 of the Fruita Municipal Code to allow the city to establish city-designated solid waste collection location for use by certain businesses. Mr. Dual Microphone, Steve Martinez, Special Manager, is here to speak.
Steve.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. My name is Steve Martinez, Special Project Manager. I decided to come up here tech-free.
Smart move.
Thank you. I think it's kind of funny. Like, I get the honor of doing the first staff presentation to this brand new council about garbage.
Hey.
I was going to kick him off a moment ago. So.
Yeah. So what we're going to talk about tonight is the ordinance 2026-07 to allow the city of Fruita to designate solid waste designated locations for use by certain businesses. Currently, the municipal code in Title 8 states that each business is responsible for their own contracts and servicing for trash and recycling collection. With the current alley project, moving the trash cans out of the alley and setting up a designated location, we've created an amazing pedestrian corridor that's going to obviously get even better. But because of the process that we took, we need to move forward with approving this amendment so that we can actually change the municipal code to allow us to charge charge businesses for a designated trash collection service.
Cool.
So I do have a couple of quick notes here, and I forgot my glasses, so I'm reading very blurrily. That'll work. So not only am I tech free, but I'm also spectacle free.
Some you can borrow.
I don't know if I'd be good on camera with yours, Ginger. Thank you.
His vanity is going to supersede.
Well, so right now, the way that we are kind of pushing forward to do this is we will actually bill each business individually based on their what their impact is in that location. So certain businesses obviously will pay more based on how much trash that they collect, but we will actually establish the location for the businesses, and then we will actually pay the trash servicer. So we will be able to recoup all the money that we're spending in collection. However, there will be times when we need to provide concrete pads. I don't want to get too technical, but those designated areas will need electrical services and things like that. I don't want to take up a ton of your time. I think it's a pretty simple process. So the staff recommendation is that we move to approve ordinance 2026-07, amending Title 8 of the City of Fruita Municipal Code, allowing the city to establish and manage city designated solid waste collection locations for use by affected businesses.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And before we bring it back to council, I'd like to open this up to public for any public comment. So is there anybody that would like to speak on item ordinance 2026-07? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. Anybody have any questions?
Just a comment. I'm excited about this. It has already made such an impact having all of that stinky trash out of the alley. And I've heard such positive things from business owners too. So
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I haven't really heard anything negative. I mean, it's been a very positive thing so far.
Yeah, I think it's great. I do have a question. Will you, I understand like the city will be responsible for paying the actual bill and then you'll get paid from the individual businesses. So will you have something in writing about what that amount is with those businesses, or how does that piece work?
Yes, so we already set up billing in the system for each individual business. We don't have necessarily a contract nothing in writing particular that says, you're responsible for putting your trash here. But we do, I mean, obviously that's something that we could do moving forward in the future. But right now we've set it up so that each individual business or property owner, whatever the case may be, is being billed on an individual basis, and then we pay the servicer the appropriate amount. And all of those, like I said before, all of those payments are based on their actual use.
So they receive an actual bill.
They do, right from the city of Fruita.
That's sort of how the accountability piece goes.
That is.
If they don't pay, then
what?
They don't play. Change the code.
No, it's a serious question.
It is,
I mean, because we've already put out the money.
Mhm.
And then what happens if we have a business that, for whatever reason, either can't afford or is angry with the city or whatever, then refuses or decides not to pay?
yeah, I was being serious when I was asking.
Yeah. And then without an agreement, what are, do we have any, my concern is we wouldn't have any standings to collect.
We're collecting the same way we collect from the residents right now based on the current trash for
So,
our community.
To a resident, if they get so far behind that they haven't paid, then ultimately their water gets shut down and they pay.
That's the teeth. And I wish Jude was here with me right now because she could probably speak a lot better to how the billing works.
And we do have some options too. And our finance director, who oversees utility billing, including trash and sewer, Krista, can come up and speak to kind of our methods for recoupment if someone does go in default with their utility expenses.
Right.
So as far as delinquency, if they don't pay their bill, the trash is billed along with their sewer bill. And so if they fall delinquent 3 months past, then they'll receive their the notice for the lock off, and we can lock off that, the water for that until we receive the payment for it.
The repercussion is we lock off their water.
Because there's no way for us to turn to do the sense for like the sewer, because usually with like residences with the sewer, the water runs through the sewer lines. And so we use that as an option for locking off the water. But in this case, since most of these are commercial businesses, it's the same thing because they're tied together as the city does their sewer and the trash in these cases. Then it falls under that. That's the way that we handle those.
Okay.
In worst case scenario too, if it is a property owner as well, you could, attach some fines to the, property that follow that into the future as well. So yeah, we have a few kind of different options like a lien and whatnot. We haven't had to do that too much for other things, but it has came up, in the past very sparingly.
Just want to make sure we have a mechanism for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then are we
Doesn't take long after your water gets turned off.
No.
That's pretty motivating.
Figure out how to pay your bill.
Motivating.
And then do we have a mechanism to track the costs and the revenues to make sure that we're at least breaking even to a budget going forward, so we know that we're charging enough and not having the rest of the community supplement that micro group?
We haven't established it yet, but we've worked with Steve. We have a designated code that we can track that we're charging these businesses to keep track of the total amount that they're being charged. And then we can do an analysis and see that in comparison to what we're paying for the actual trash pickup through the company and make sure that we're recovering what we need to.
And I think associated with it is just we've invested money into to cement pads or whatever before. And so it's a holistic approach that we can the total cost, not just the trash collections, but the cost to establish it.
Everything.
Over a long term gets covered. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that you might have answered my question is figure out actual use, each business.
Steve, do you want to talk about the code and the way? Wait.
I was, what I did, I took the last 6 months of each of the individual businesses' trash bills for their current contracts. And I used that to create an average, a total and then an average, so that I know exactly based on how much money we need to bring in, what the average for each of those individual businesses is for their charge from the city. So if it changed a little bit because we had kind of a temporary system that was a little bit cheaper before the compactor got installed. Now that the compactor is installed, we're running at about $350 a month plus over what we're actually paying back to the servicer. So we're collecting more than we're actually spending. But the timeline for how long it'll take to recoup the actual costs of the infrastructure that we put in, I don't really have those numbers, but I can get them.
We rebidding for our trash collections? Or are we the same company?
Yeah, and so for our residential, we are currently have a RFP out for residential trash service. Since the city never provided a commercial trash service in the past, we actually didn't include that in the RFP. So right now we're actually billed separately, which kind of keeps it clean right now because everything that we have through Republic, who provides the compactor, is all commercial, with exception of a few things. Like every once in a while, like we need, a dumpster for a large project or whatever it may be, and waste management has only been residential. But that is something we'll look into as we go through this bid process, because it could turn out to be the exact same company who does both. Could be one or the other. We'll evaluate that. It'll mostly probably be based on service and price to residents for residential. So right now it's separate though, which makes it easier.
Just curious, that's all.
I think probably establishing a contract too would be a good idea, just to make sure that everybody knows the expectations and just formalize it that, here's what this needs to look like. I think that's always a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And can a business opt in if they want?
You mean a business not backing up?
Not on the alley.
No, on the alley, but one that maybe comes in new that doesn't exist yet, or
Opt in or opt out?
well, I actually was wondering if they could opt in,
Yeah,
but
probably both. I mean,
Okay.
As businesses come and go, we will have, and this is a conversation that we had just the other day in the office. We will have a way to make sure that they know that their trash service is not, they're not responsible for it, that they get their trash service from the city. The other piece of the puzzle that it kind of weighs on my brain a little bit too is then figuring out how much trash they're designating. So how much to charge them, because it is, again, 100% based on percentages. That certain businesses use a lot more than others.
of course, yeah.
And so is that amount ever going to be reassessed, assuming businesses go through potential flows of using more trash at times and less at other times?
Yeah, I mean, we have it set up right now so that we don't have to worry too much about things getting overfilled. And then one of the reasons for always running in a surplus is so that if we can call for an emergency pickup, we can get it done within about 24 hours. So we'll never have to worry about those kind of overages. However, to answer the question more specifically, if a business comes in and they are starting up, maybe they have like that first month where they're using way more recycling because they're unpacking boxes, things like that, then that would have to be considered, to make sure that it's fair for everybody that's using the system.
That might be a good aspect just to throw it in the contract that Amy was talking about, that we allow, part of the process is that we will reevaluate on a periodic basis.
Yeah.
And can change rates or
What I'll ask is that we have a contract or an agreement that kind of takes that into consideration.
It takes the unknowns and
trash is never as simple as you think it's going to be.
There is. It's been weighing on my mind.
No, it's awesome to see what you guys are doing, and it's a great improvement to our
We're
community.
very familiar with trash conversations.
Well, thank you very much.
Anybody have anything else?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance 2026-07, amending Title 8 of the City of Fruita Municipal Code, allowing the city to establish and manage city-designated solid waste collection locations for use by affected businesses.
First
Second.
and a second. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Deb?
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Kumro,
Yes.
Counselor Prochnow,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great. Thank you very much. This takes us now to item C, a quasi judicial public hearing, a request to approve a new beer and wine malt and vinous liquor license for TBR Book Bar LLC DBA TBR Book Bar located at 242 South Mulberry Street. And Deb Woods, our city clerk, is here to present.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, good to be with you tonight. Presenting a new beer and wine liquor license for TBR Book Bar located at 424 South Mulberry Street. So pursuant to City's Ordinance 2024-13 that was adopted on August 6th and 24, brand new liquor licenses may not be administratively approved. They must go before City Council for approval. There has not been an approval or a denial previously for a liquor license at 242 South Mulberry in the past, so this will be its first one. Pursuant to the Colorado Liquor Code, beer and wine means an establishment selling malt and vinous liquors for consumption on the premises. Beer and wine licensee shall have snacks and light sandwiches available for consumption during business hours, but they need not have meals available. And as I've explained in previous presentations to City Council pursuant to the Colorado Liquor Code, the City Council may consider only two things when approving a liquor license. The first is the character of the applicant. Concerning the character of the applicant, staff conducted background checks on Brandy Remy, and they all came back clear. These checks went through law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, the CBI, Mesa County Sheriff's Office, and the City of Grand Junction and Fruita Police Departments. The second thing that the council can consider when approving a liquor license is the needs of the neighborhood. And provided as evidence of the reasonable requirements of the neighborhood and the desires of the adult inhabitants, a neighborhood survey was signed by 18 people in favor of the issuance of the beer and wine liquor license, and none were in opposition. I would like also to note that the applicants requested a concurrent review of their application, and the application was mailed to the state on June 2nd of 2026. So you have your recommended motion in your packet for recommendation to approve the application. That concludes my presentation, and Brandy Remy is present as the applicant's representative. And Brandy, did you have anything you wanted to add?
If you could.
Hi, I don't have anything to add. I just wanted to say thank you for your time and your consideration.
Good.
Andrew? Mr. Mayor, if I could just briefly add to our city clerk's presentation, we did receive a couple questions
I've got those.
as well.
You wanted me to go over those?
Oh, yeah, and we can just go over those very quickly.
If we can go over those before public comment would be great.
Thank you. Yeah.
So there were some questions from City Council about the liquor license application. One was, is there in the preliminary findings, there is a paragraph that lists the number of liquor licensees that are located within a 1 mile radius of the location proposed. And the question was, is there not a requirement to list all liquor licensees? And there is not. We only list the liquor licenses that are the same class of license. So there are two for for this one, and that is Trailblazer, almost said Pablo's. Trailblazer Pizza and Munchies have beer and wine liquor licenses.
I had that question, so I.
Yeah, so yeah. So there was another question if there is a limit to the number of alcohol serving establishments in Fruita, and there is not, except for two types of liquor licensees, and that's retail liquor stores and fermented malt beverage and wine, which are both off consumption. Fermented malt beverage and wine would be like at the grocery store, at a convenience store. And then the last question was, why do we want to issue a license prior to an all clear from the state? We are not actually issuing the license yet. We're a dual licensing authority. Liquor licenses get approved by the local authority and the state. So we do our approval, and because it's concurrent review, the state is working on their approval, and we send the local approval. And then the state licensing authority will do their approval process, but they will not approve it until they get our approval.
All right. Thank you. Anything else, Deb, before we open up to public comment? No? All right. With that, I'd like to open up public comment. All right. Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. I just want to say thanks for, asking those questions ahead of time. So, for clarification. All right.
I move to approve the issuance of a new beer and wine, malt and vinous liquor license for the TBR Book Bar, LLC DBA, TBR Book Bar located at 242 South Mulberry Street.
Okay. All right. We have a first and second. Any other questions, concerns, or comments? I got to get used to now the new landscape here. All right. Seeing none?
Councilor Kumro,
Yes.
Councilor Prochnow,
Yes.
Councilor Purser,
Yes.
Councilor Parrish,
Yes.
Councilor Miller,
Yes.
Councilor Hansi. Motion passes 6-0.
Very much, Deb. All right. With that, we have a final item, Ordinance 2026-09, sorry. Second reading, an ordinance vacating City of Fruita pedestrian easement located on portions of Block 3, Lot 1 and 2 of the Kokopelli Commercial Park Phase 2 subdivision. Joe Morris, our city planner.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for your time this evening. For your consideration tonight, I have ordinance number 2026-09. This is a request by the applicant for the vacation of the publicly dedicated pedestrian easement located on 502 and 524 Kokopelli Boulevard. In this context, the word vacation means to vacate or remove. So essentially, the applicant is requesting that the easement be removed from the property. Legal notice for this application was done in the form of postcards, which were sent to all property owners within a 350-foot buffer zone, as well as the site was posted, the Civic Center was posted, and an ad was taken out in the newspaper. So all legal notice was done in accordance with local and state law. Now, before getting into the specific details of this application, I wanted to briefly touch on what an easement is. Generally, it gives one party the right to use a portion of another person's property for a specific purpose. When local governments get involved with this type of thing, usually it's to protect infrastructure. In the graphic above, you can see the easement area is a very specific strip of land on private property that covers what appears to be a sewer line for the maintenance of that sewer line. When reviewing an application for the vacation of a public easement, there's a single criteria with 3 different parts. The City Council may approve the vacation of a public easement after recommendation from the Planning Commission, upon finding there's no longer a public interest in retaining said easement, and that no utility provider objects to the easement vacation. Public interest, when it comes to publicly dedicated easements, typically is to protect the infrastructure within them. The 2 images above are developments within the same commercial subdivision as the subject parcels. And you can see they do have pedestrian infrastructure. So in these situations, the public interest is to protect those pedestrian paths. The subject parcels are currently vacant. So the public interest here, if there is one, would be to achieve the goals outlined in the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan talks about the importance of pedestrian facilities and requiring them in new developments. It also talks about the importance of infill development, however, and attracting living wage jobs into the city of Fruita. So when reviewing this application and formulating a suggested motion, staff's tried to balance these two goals. The original subdivision plat is the Kokopelli Commercial Park Phase 2 subdivision. It included many pedestrian easements, some of which have been improved to date, others of which have not. But all of them, as shown on the plat, were dedicated to the city of Fruita as perpetual easements for the use of the public. As the improvement survey provided by the applicant shows, there currently are no improvements to date, and the original plan for this area was for these improvements to be made with development. Now, it's important to keep in mind that this plat and the planning that was done for this area was done 20 years ago. Since then, the city's goals have changed and certain city requirements have changed. I bring this up to say we use different tools now to achieve pedestrian connectivity than we did back then. Back then, these easements were the tools that they were using to get pedestrian connectivity, but now we have different ones and we have different goals for the area. I would say this is most prevalent in the existence of the commercial 2 zone, which is applied to the properties that did not exist at the time that the subdivision was platted. And there are two purposes for this zone district that I wanted to point out, one being larger parcel sizes and the other being more parking than in other areas of the city. As stated previously, this easement was dedicated prior to this zone district, and its current location could prevent the city from meeting the purposes of this zone district. No reviewer expressed concerns with the vacation, meeting that third part of the review criteria, although the city engineer did request that a 14-foot multi-purpose easement be dedicated along the northern portion of the property's South Mesa street frontage. This is a portion typically we require multi-purpose easements with all subdivisions. So this is a requirement of the subdivision, not necessarily this application. In addition, no public comments have been received by staff at this time. At their May 12th meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval with certain conditions. Their conditions differ slightly than staff's originally recommended motion and the recommended motion by staff tonight, and that they specified that the pedestrian infrastructure that we're asking for be installed at a location no further north than the current easement. However, staff's of the opinion that the land use code is a better tool to drive connectivity south as the property continues to develop. The reason for that is that specifying where the pedestrian infrastructure is going is kind of the situation we're in now. It could cause development problems further down the road and could prevent context-based development and allow for proper planning of future growth. On page 226, you'll see a suggested motion by staff recommending that the council adopt the ordinance with certain conditions. Because there are currently no improvements, staff is of the opinion that there is no public interest in the specific location of the easement, but there is a public interest in achieving its goals. We feel confident that these goals can be achieved with the recommended motion and by the enforcement of the city's land use code. If adopted, the ordinance will become effective 30 days after adoption. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to open it up to public comment. Does anybody have any public comment?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. I believe we do have the applicant online.
I apologize.
Good evening, council members. My name is Mark Austin. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Good. All right. I'm sorry. I'm remote here with poor bandwidth, so hopefully I come through clear tonight. My name is Mark Austin. I'm a civil engineer with Austin Civil Group in Grand Junction, and we're here tonight as part of a project team to develop the lots at 502 and 524 Kokopelli Boulevard for Intermountain Primary Health Care. Intermountain Healthcare is proposing to build a new primary care facility building and parking on these two lots. And the first phase of this project is hoping to get started here later this summer. And Intermountain Health actually owns all three of the lots along that edge of the Kokopelli Park Boulevard area. And as part of our development plan, Intermountain Health would like to vacate this 20-foot pedestrian irrigation easement, which is basically centered on the lot line between 502 and 524 Kokopelli. And the other thing that we're requesting approval from the city of Fruita on through a separate application is to actually combine these two lots into one lot. Intermountain Health is providing, with their development plan, is actually constructing a new 8-foot pedestrian connection about 50 feet north of this location as part of that development plan. And again, this development plan is currently in the city of Fruita's approval process, and I believe the building permit application has been submitted, and the subdivision application has been submitted as well. So we're needing to vacate this lot line to accommodate that current development plan, which is phase one of their project. Intermountain Health has other expansion plans planned for these three properties, and this vacation helps clean up future development plans for them. The other interesting aspect with this easement vacation is that it also includes an irrigation easement as well as pedestrian. And as Joey pointed out, the pedestrian easement portion of this was dedicated to the city of Fruita, but the irrigation is dedicated to the Property Owners Association. And Intermountain Health has been in the process with the Property Owners Association to get that vacation for the irrigation easement completed. And we're in the final stages of that. We're just waiting for the final signatures on the documents to get that irrigation easement portion of that vacated as well. Like I said, the new 8-foot pedestrian connection is about 50 feet to the north of this current location. And it actually aligns better with the existing pedestrian connection that's on the west side of Kokopelli Boulevard. So this will provide more of a direct access for pedestrians and the public to egress from Mesa Avenue over to Kokopelli and continue west of Kokopelli using the existing pedestrian easement. This vacation also allows for Intermountain Health to do their phase 2 expansion plans, which we anticipate are going to happen to the east and south of where they're proposing to build, which would go across this lot line and easement area. We would request City Council approve our request to vacate this 20-foot pedestrian easement to allow Intermountain Health to continue with their development plan. And again, as part of that site development plan application, that new pedestrian walk would be about 50 feet north of this current location. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions you might have. I did send Joey a map that kind of shows the location of that pedestrian easement, and I'm not sure if he's able to pull that up for this presentation or not. Unfortunately, my bandwidth is not allowing me to do that, but we do have an overlay that shows the existing easement area and the location of our new 8-foot walk. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mark. Sorry, I did not know you were online. Are you able to pull that up? No pressure. laughing at all of us on council, like zooming on our screens. Thank you.
So the area that's in red is the location of the current pedestrian easement. You can see it's running through what we're proposing to be parking lot area for the Intermountain Health Building. And you can see there's a 50-foot dimension kind of on the western side of that site. And at the end of that 50-foot dimension is an 8-foot sidewalk that provides pedestrian connection. And that alignment, if you look on the west side of Kokopelli Boulevard, you'll see kind of a white box, and that existing sidewalk is on the other side of the street. So that new location of where we'd like to put that 8-foot walk better aligns than where the current location's at. So hopefully that helps clarify a little bit of what we're proposing.
Great, thank you. Joe, anything else before we open it up to public comment?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. With that, I'd like to open up to public comment on Ordinance 2026-09. All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. All right, what do you guys got? So, okay, I've got a question, which is, I know we have this ordinance here, but Joe, you did mention that with the 14-foot easement, and this is maybe more of a process question, which is during this thing, we're deciding whether or not to vacate the current easement, but there's no, that other 14-foot easement would have to go in as part of the land use.
As part,
how it's the land use code that the CR2.
it would be part of the subdivision to protect any infrastructure. It's pretty typical with residential subdivisions. Their building infrastructure will require that multi-purpose easement be dedicated in order to be able to maintain that infrastructure. We have received a response from comments on their subdivision application, and it does include that 14-foot multi-purpose easement.
Okay, right.
So I'm confident that'll get done.
Okay.
The staff's recommendation does not include the additional comments from the planning, correct?
Correct.
It does not. So what happens there when they approved it 6-0 with that condition, but then that's not what's coming to us? I mean, I realize we could add it if we wanted to, but when it doesn't look like what they had approved, what I don't think we've had that before. So I'm curious.
So the role of the planning commission is a recommending body in certain issues. This is one of those times where they're making a recommendation to council. Staff's suggested motion is also a recommendation. So at this point tonight, it's up to the council whether to go with one of those recommendations over the other or to go in a different direction, kind of at your discretion.
But I think the ultimate question is, do we let the land use drive it? Because it gets picked up.
I'm just curious because if it goes a different way than what the recommendation of the planning commission, then they're not going to see it again, and maybe they have amended it. So when we see something that they vote 6-0 on, that seems like a high rate recommendation. Whether it would maybe look different. I just playing that out a little bit in my mind. I guess. Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that their main concern was that connectivity remains. And I personally agree with staff's recommendation that we follow more closely to and just looking at the plans, it makes a little bit more sense with that placement.
I agree.
Any other questions or comments?
I know we're all looking
Looking at Todd. Well, I missed you twice tonight. Don't want to miss you a third time.
I know, I'm just down here. No, I agree more along the lines with staff's recommendations as I'm looking at that and listening to everything else.
Okay. Right. Now, does anybody care to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance 2026-09, vacating a City of Fruita pedestrian easement located on portions of Block 3, Lots 1 and 2 of the Kokopelli Commercial Park Phase 2 subdivision.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any other additional questions, comments, or concerns? All right, Deb?
Counselor Prochnow.
Yes.
Counselor Purser.
Yes.
Counselor Parrish.
Yes.
Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Counselor Hansi. Counselor Kumro.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. We have nothing on the administrative agenda, which leads us into the city managers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Just a few items for you tonight. I wanted to thank everyone who joined us this evening at the meet and greet for the Parks and Recreation Director. We had such a good turnout for Tuesday night at 5 to 6:30 at the Community Center. I think we probably had about 30 people, maybe 35, attend that, from board and commission members to staff to council as well. So really happy with how that turned out. We have some comment cards to sort through. So once we review all those comment cards, and we'll get back together with the other staff who interviewed the candidates. So they went through an interview today with our leadership team. They also went through an interview with Parks and Rec staff as well, compile all that feedback, consolidate, and then make a decision from there. So bring this up to council to thank you for participating in that. And also because once a decision is made and that person accepts, they'll come back before council to introduce themselves, to be able to answer questions from council as well, which is what we generally do. We just put them on the administrative agenda, and then council can approve and go forward with that appointment. So 4 really good applicants, and excited about those, and excited to see all the feedback we'll get from staff and the community. A quick scheduling note. So our workshop for June was originally scheduled for next Tuesday. We did end up rescheduling that to the 5th Tuesday of the month, so June 30th, due to CML. So I know several of us will be at the Colorado Municipal League conference next week, so I look forward to seeing you all there. A few other quick schedule updates. So Mayor Bremen and I were supposed to have a beer or root beer with the city manager tomorrow at the tavern. We didn't know the tavern closed on Wednesdays, so we're gonna, yeah, it's
decided after we scheduled it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was right.
Pretty recent, like just about 3.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I got with Lucky, the owner, over the weekend, and we said we're going to reschedule. We definitely want to, since we're going to have an event there, and that's usually a really well attended event as well. So want to make sure we reschedule at that location. So probably in July we'll just have 2 events, and I think that'll be great. But if anyone was planning on attending that, apart from Mayor Bremen and I, it is canceled, unfortunately. And then a few quick project updates. You probably saw that the Maple Street sewer project kicked off and is in full swing. Our contractor 970 Excavation is mobilizing near Reed Park, and they're actually going to begin replacing the sewer line and overlaying the street from the southern portion of the project heading up north. There will be significant impacts to the park, to Maple Street, and to Elm as well. So just want to continue to reiterate, to the public, and you'll probably hear about that as well, because it is going to be very impactful to the community, especially the residents there. It's more of that sewer line that we've been trying to replace, kind of piece by piece. The sewer line that we've had collapse in the past. We had some of that same Orangeburg collapse on Peach Street and Highway 6 and 50 back at the end of 2019 or 2020. So making sure we're replacing all of that and then also overlaying the road and parking lots. That'll look really nice once it's all done. And then finally, we've probably seen that we've been getting some comments on Little Salt Wash Park as well. So Lower Valley and a few of our partners has been doing a ton of fire mitigation over at the disc golf course. So it looks great. It looks bare for sure, but as far as like reducing the amount of fuels and fallen trees and brush and all that could potentially start a wildfire, it looks pretty good over there. So we'll continue to work with parties affected by that. We actually hosted one of the members of the Grand Valley Disc Golf Club, and Ciara, our interim Parks and Rec director, met with that member as well on site to discuss how we can make some improvements to the disc golf course now that it's changed quite a bit due to that fire mitigation. So we'll continue to do that and encourage people to share, feedback with us on that as well. And the turf too, we're working on. You've probably seen that it's getting green. It was a rough couple years, and there's so much use at that park. We probably will have to reseed, some portions of the soccer fields and probably fence that off as well, and then look at maybe what that looks like long term and how that could change just use and also access to the public in the future. But no, we're working on that, and we're always happy to take any comments or questions from the public on those. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. And of course, congratulations to our new City Council member, Councilor Prochnow. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I know staff and I are really looking forward to working with all of you.
Thank you, Shannon. With that, I'm going to head into council reports and action items. I'd rather not do reassignments of boards and commissions tonight. Let you sit through one complete meeting. But we should put that on the next July 9th or whatever meeting that is, so we can go back, take a look at our boards, commissions, and adjust if needed. Make sure things work with people's schedule and the rest. With that, I will continue since I've already started speaking. Just got back from Governor's Fellowship this weekend. Just high level of what was covered. Spent a lot of time around electric and water. I will say closer to the Four Corners, they're looking at 12.5% of their normal water for agriculture. So we spent a lot of time kind of talking about how they're adjusting to that. And then people we talked to are more on the growing of wheat and corn, but how that's going to impact the entire industry, beef production, all of that. So they're trying to figure it out. I know the whole state's trying to deal with it, but it's pretty bad. Ag voltage, which is not a term I'd really ever heard of before, but it is how do you mix power production and agriculture on the same piece of land to see what they're doing. It's primarily with solar, making sure the panels are depending on if it's sheep or cows. Apparently goats eat everything, including solar panels. But yeah, in terms of how high you put it, the savings on that in terms of combining that, access to water rights, things like that. So a lot to be learned on that, which was good. I also want to acknowledge and thank all of the people in council and staff for the Rural Entrepreneurship Symposium. All the feedback I've heard from the at the university and from the program director has been phenomenal. They said it was very interesting to see the difference between Palisade Grand Junction, the county, and us in terms of different perspectives. And just once again, thank you for everybody for participating. I know that was some time out of your day and prep work to do that, so thank you. And I think that's all I've got. Anybody else who wants to go next?
I'll be easy. I'm down here.
If you speak up, I know where you're at.
I'm down here. Yeah, nothing.
Right.
I had eye surgery right after the last meeting, and I hid out the last 2 weeks.
I'm gonna have to back out of CML I've got some good family stuff going on that's just not gonna allow me to go. And then I got a new client that I have to be to a board meeting in the middle of it. So I'm gonna have to back out of that, unfortunately. I was looking forward to it. I know. I even put it on my calendar this year.
It was so close.
And my son decided to go serve a mission for 2 years, and so he's leaving in the middle of it. So I'm just
Family first.
support family. So I expect book reports on the event from each and every one of you, single spaced, 3 pages.
Sheet.
Yes, even better. That's bonus points. No. No, that's all I had.
Or if you write my spreadsheet.
All right.
I will use AI to see how you cheat with each other.
Okay.
No, it's unfortunate I won't be able to attend, but have fun.
I agree. The Rural Entrepreneurship Symposium was really a neat experience. Really cool they had people from all over the country that were part of that, which was really neat to meet them, interact with them, and get to brag about our awesome little city, and also get to hear like their perspectives and some suggestions from a couple of them that were pretty neat. So it was an honor to be part of that. It was really cool, and also to interact with so many of our local businesses. That was just really cool. And then another really cool thing, none of mine are like really official things, but I was able to attend the farmer's market and kind of watch the flowers, some of the flowers being painted for our co-op tower. That was really neat. The kids, I mean, it wasn't just kids, it was kids and grandparents. And it was really cool to see that process. And Andrea did a really great job of engaging with them and kind of working through that with them. And it was fun to see all the different, I didn't realize she was going to bring so many different mediums. So that was fun. There was paint and markers and colored pencils. And yeah, so I'm really excited to see the end results of that.
There'll be another opportunity to interact.
The fourth Friday this month. Yeah.
That's all I got. It was really cool. Yes.
I have missed the first 2 board meetings for the museum, and I will miss the one next week. But I have met with the director, and they have a retreat scheduled for August 1st, at which time they will be talking about the results of their survey. And
they're in the middle of their facility audit right now, aren't they?
Correct. Yes. And so, but I did look at their financials. Their revenue was considerably higher than their budget. They are still operating at a deficit, but that was a very positive thing. And from all of our conversation, I would say that they're headed in the right direction. It'll be interesting to see between the July board meeting and the August workshop what is actually decided as to what they're going to do about facilities.
Have they reached out to us?
And by the way, I was confirmed that my position is a voting member of their board.
Oh, wow.
According to the director. So we do have a vote on that board. So.
And so is that August 1st meeting where?
It's a retreat.
Where you will be there?
Yes, I will be there.
Or,
and I'll be there at the July meeting also, but I've missed the first 3 since been appointed to that board, so.
I asked, do you know if they've reached out for any other communication or information?
They have. Yep. So I've talked to staff. They share great feedback about Counselor Parrish. So they love him. Hasn't been to a meeting. connecting the no, I'm kidding. But yeah, they will be coming before the council soon to give an update and also any potential asks as well. I know they're completing their feasibility study at their downtown location. They're looking at potentially doing a feasibility study at the Dinosaur Journey Museum here as well. So I talked to Sheena and then also their communications and engagement director as well.
That's all I have.
Okay, I have a little bit of a list.
Sure.
But yes, echoing the entrepreneurship symposium and how great it was and such an honor, yes, to get to participate in that. And it was really lovely. And during that, we were chatting about our high numbers of community engagement. And then afterwards, there was a woman, that's what she does, and she still was blown away. She does it in all sorts of big cities, and she just couldn't believe the number. And I was like, what do you guys do? And I want to hear more about it. And I didn't have a card, and really probably should be one of you all that she should talk to more. But it made me ponder a little bit more than just, that one data that we have, which is because the city staff is so accessible and because city council is so accessible, you get such great engagement. I feel strongly that this is true because any citizen and resident of Fruita can come chat with any of us and they can make a suggestion, and then these little steps, and all of a sudden, whatever they talk to you about, they're seeing a result of actually happening. And when that starts to happen, then the word starts to spread like, oh, you really can chat with whomever. And then you can see real live suggestions, maybe tweaks or whatever, or just discussions. But often, actually, the idea brought to any of us becomes a reality. And they are heard and understood as one of the experts on our city as a resident here. And when those things start to happen and you see little steps of that, that's then when you hold a bigger community engagement event, then you have such buy-in to it because there has been evidence that the residents are listened to. And I just think, I personally, way before I was on council, experienced that on my own. And also just being on board a downtown advisory board and various things. And I just think it's a good reminder for us to recognize really how that happens is beyond just the big community engagement, but also steps along the way. And so I just wanted to share that. Thoughts on that. And then I did want to ask because it came out and that we're seeing a little higher crime rate, right?
Oh, sure.
And that heat may play a factor into that and things like that. The economy may be playing a factor into that. And Chief comes and talks to us here and there, and I'm sure he's going to come see us sometime soon. But I am more interested in on our side of things. Is there something culturally that we can be helping out on communicating? Are we seeing something that even as a city council that we can be a little more involved in, sort of help reduce whatever tensions there are that may be showing up in that? Does anyone have any? Do you have any insight on that, Shannon?
I think that's a great question. I think one thing, and even going to our meeting earlier this evening, is building relationships and being accessible. Our community engagement police officer, Ed Pacheco, is very, very accessible. In fact, Me and him, you mentioned reaching out to, residents having meetings. We actually just met with Elizabeth Nunn on last week to discuss some of the issues that are on, her mind, but also there's a new group called the Fruita Hope Initiative, which I've learned we're all speaking at on Thursday. So that's great. So I would encourage this Thursday. Yeah, sorry, me, Ed, and Counselor Purser. I apologize. Okay.
I'm not.
Oh, sure.
I will.
Yeah. But just encouraging them, if people do want to build those relationships, like we love to do that, and we're out often. And then if they feel comfortable, expressing, those concerns or anything else, they know they have someone to go to. So that'd probably be my initial suggestion, but I can always ask, PD and what they're seeing, how support, they may need as well. I think we can definitely ask them.
We're going to hear from the chief until September.
We were part of our onboarding. We were going to have them come sooner as well. So yeah, I think that'd be very, very good questions. Some of these issues very, very difficult. Some of these other ones, yeah, are there things that we can do to kind of impact those? So yeah, that's a really great question.
Do we do or participate in the National Night Out against?
Yep.
Yeah. Do we have?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry. Do we participate?
We're invited to go. Is that what you mean as a
Yep.
council, or is there one? Our
Yeah.
is
Yep.
are the
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been gone. I travel a lot in August.
Sure.
So I haven't been around a lot in August. This year will not be traveling. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, like, that's something we could do, but those are, having done a lot of community oriented policing in my lifetime, that's something that has always been a big thing, is those, or having more of those, not just having it at one time a year, having something more often in that effect.
Yeah. And we have one national night out we always participate in. Last year, I think we had 3 HOAs total that invited PD out. It's always on a Tuesday, which bums me out because we always have council.
Yeah.
I know. So, baby.
We got our reservation in for the block party trailer the day after.
They always do.
Last year.
Oh, yeah.
So there will be an event for that night at Vista Valley.
There you
It's a
go.
National thing.
It is.
Tuesday night's a national thing.
Yes, yeah.
So we could do our own thing on a night if we wanted to help, get the word out.
Yeah.
We can be different. We're Fruita. We're funky.
Yeah. Yeah. We do already have the main national night out booked and reserved. I think they're even advertising it as well, too. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea, and these are really good questions to be asking. Yeah. We're also, we've improved our social media a lot the past couple of years. So you're also they're posting more regularly of just kind of what's going on, and, to try to be more transparent. So that does lead to, is there more going on? And, numbers wise, we can dig into that, but also just trying to be more open about what is going on too. So they're doing a better job of posting that as well.
Sorry, didn't mean.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so we had the Arts and Culture Board meeting last week, right? Well, actually still during the symposium, so I didn't get to stay for all of it, but they worked on the rubric for the Heart of Fruita and the parameters, and CR's took all the suggestions and is putting that together, and it's beefed up significantly in regards to capturing the intent of the council for the Arts and Culture Board, and what the submissions should be and things like that. And then after the selection process, before it's formally announced, there will be a group, and I maybe the entire arts and culture, or whoever can, but definitely I speak out, CR, if I'm saying this wrong, but definitely the chair and the staff liaison and the city council liaison to go look at each piece that was selected, but before it's announced, to make sure it's in real life, looks like how it was represented in the voting and selection process. And then And then I think you guys will be happy to see how they have adjusted.
So last year, what was discussed was that we were looking for the Arts and Culture Board to figure out what the new process was and said, no, you own this, figure out the new process, but bring that and share that process with council prior to.
Yep.
And will that still happen?
I believe, yes, we can.
Yeah, that was the ask of council.
Not to approve it, but.
But to share, yeah.
Yes, that was what the discussion was. Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
We will have that opportunity.
just coming at, like the RFP maybe has gone out or the call to artists, but.
A long
way.
Yes, so kind of the board decided that, well, yes, we have, the draft process in place and can share that now with you all to review if that's what you prefer. And then also the board decided in the process, they would like to come to council probably early September to share an update with you all on how the year's gone, how Coco Vino went, Chalk the Block, all the events they do, including the Heart of Fruita, and show you the final pieces that were selected to give you that update, and then invite you to that art walk with all the artists at the end of the month in September.
I think both of those would be wonderful.
Okay. Yeah. And the goal was to hopefully get out the process this month. If we want to keep the deadline of getting the sculptures installed in September. So yes, we'll get that out to you as soon as we can.
As Janine said, it's not for council necessarily to approve,
Just
but we had asked to get visibility to it.
Sure. Yep. And Shannon has it, so we can, definitely get it over to you all.
And they discussed that it would be more like a city council packet. So like it will go out. We're going to talk to Meg about it to make sure, but
yeah, so the idea was to definitely, invite anyone that wants to come to that meeting with the score when the committee is reviewing and scoring the applications and having everything online available before that meeting, just like a city council meeting. It'll be included in the agenda for the arts and culture meeting, so everyone can review it, and then they can, whoever wants to, come and give public comment before the scoring begins.
public comments always on the agenda.
And it's always there.
But that will
yep.
be like, and the agenda is always public, but this, it will include the submissions. People will have, not just the people voting, but the entire public will have.
So it'll go out to that population that gets city council agendas.
It will be.
'Cause I don't get their agendas right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're saying you're sending that out to everybody, or at least
I just
council?
figured it would be on the website like it is.
Yeah, it'll go on the website, and then we'll be promoting the Heart of Fruita program throughout the next couple of months, and we'll make sure that's included in that communication.
Are they going to add podiums this year, or whatever you call them, the stands?
Probably not, but
I'm just excited to see it expand.
yes, but
off of Aspen.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, they are adding up to 9, 8 for sure, maybe 9.
Normally it's 5, right?
Yes, it's been 5 so far, and it's gonna be up. It's
And it depends. Yeah, it might be a pedestal. It might just go into the concrete.
yes, that's what I got hung up on.
Yes, more.
Yes, it's expanding, and that's super exciting. And yeah, it was a good meeting. Took a little time, but it was good. So
I want to make sure that the board knows. I mean, it's they own the process. They own the decision. Council, we don't get to say, oh, we don't like that, or we love that piece. I just want to make sure.
it was really clear to them about their autonomy. Yeah. And thank you for backing that up. And then lastly, we have the livability meeting on Thursday, and Keely, I don't have her last name in front of me, but from the Department of Human Services here in Fruita is coming to speak because there's a real appetite in that group to hear about what services are available for all sorts of things, and specifically homeless. And so she's going to come and chat with us about potential resources. So they're going to be happy about that. And now I'm done.
All right. It's been like an hour.
Nothing new to report here.
Really? Nothing?
I'll get back to you on that.
Thanks. All right. Well, thank you all. With that, we have an executive session up next. I do want to make sure you need to recuse yourself from this, correct? No? Okay, not this one? All right, never mind.
Stay long with us.
All right,
Yeah.
just want to make sure.
Nope, not this one.
Okay, thank you for clarification. So we will head into executive session. And then we'll come back and close the meeting right afterwards. All right, the time is though 9:30. Do we need to take a?
Please.
All right, we are going to take a 10-minute. Pardon me?
At least.
You want to do the announcement first? Okay. All right, so we'll need a motion.
You can do that motion. Move to convene in an executive session pursuant to CRS section 246424A for the purpose of discussing the city's potential purchase of property along the Colorado River and or downtown Fruita, and to develop strategy and inform negotiators pursuant to CRS section 246424E regarding the same.
We have a first.
Second. Oh, sorry.
Let's see a second. Any questions or comments? All right.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi, Counselor Kumro,
Yes.
Counselor Prochnow.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Time is 9:33. We're going to take a 10-minute recess. I'm back at 9:44.
Too fast.
I'm ready to go.
It's a bio break time, man.